So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. You back here, BSN Network. This is the BSN Network podcast here today. It is Tuesday, March 8th. Hope everybody's having a day so far and a good rest of their day. Yesterday, it is in fact Tuesday, March 8th here today. Coming off another big night last night in the world of sports. Tomorrow, Wednesday, will be the first official start. Will be the first games, the start of the SEC tournament, the start of the Big Ten tournament, the start of a lot of Power 5 conferences tomorrow, Wednesday, with your first round matchups, and that will really begin the craziness, and then we'll head into all the way into early April where the craziness ends, and that's what everyone says. We sleep in May, craziness all throughout March into April, and then you finally get to sleep in May. So really excited, really pumped up for the March Madness, really pumped up for Kentucky, really pumped up to see what they can do. Last night you had Furman and Chattanooga with a wild finish in a wild game there. And then you had, all sorts of great games. So really fired up for the rest of the college basketball season. I know I keep saying it every day, but it's such an exciting time of year. And especially as somebody who does these podcasts and comes on every day and talks about sports and loves sports and watches sports and just loves everything about it, somebody who comes on every day and talks about it, March Madness is great. March Madness is great for me. It's great for the viewers. It's great for everybody because it's just so much to talk about, so much excitement, and a lot of fun. So really excited for that as some of the conferences begin, but tomorrow's the big one. As for last night in the world of sports, though, you obviously had the Islanders blowing a late lead, and they lost. The Islanders lost. Crazy third period. Really was a wild third period. And they lost. They lost there, and they were able to come back. With a close one. And Avalanche almost blew a late lead. They were able to come back. They lost 5-4, but really, turned into a close one. Knicks were able to get the win. So back-to-back wins for the Knicks. And as for tonight, we got the Nets versus Hornets, and the Rangers are on the road against the Wild to continue their little bit of a road trip that they just started Sunday night in Winnipeg. So they'll be back in action tonight in Minnesota against the Wild, and the Nets will continue their road trip tonight in Charlotte against the Hornets. And Thursday, March 10th, will be the big, long-awaited KD versus Harden game again. Nets Sixers on the road in Philly, Wells Fargo Center on Broad Street there in Philadelphia. So should be an exciting one. And that's definitely something to look forward to. But we got some big news out of the NFL. And like I said, I haven't probably said this, but Tuesday's going to be a really quick 15 to 20 minute video today. We got some very big news in the world of the NFL. Two big stories. I'm going to get to one of them today, get to the other one tomorrow. One of them's massive. The other one's big, but it's not as big. Russell Wilson has been traded from the Seattle Seahawks to the Denver Broncos. Yes, you have heard that right. Russell Wilson is on his way from Seattle to Denver. So he's staying out west, but now he's going a little bit more to the eastern side, and he's going to Denver, the high altitude there in Denver, Colorado. And man, oh man, this is without a doubt the first blockbuster move of the offseason. And hopefully the first move and the first crazy moves that we see of many, because that means exciting offseason, and that means for me a whole lot more to talk about. So gonna break this deal down, tell you all the parts in it. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of different things that went on. Gonna break it down, give you what this means and where does Seattle go from here, and is Denver now a true contender? And I just want to tell you, too, the AFC West, why the AFC West now might be one of the most dominant divisions in terms of quarterbacks in the NFL, and one of the most dominant divisions we've seen in a long time in the NFL in terms of starting quarterbacks. You got Mahomes, you got Justin Herbert, you got Derek Carr, and now you add Russell Wilson onto that list, and you're looking at 4 guys that really are dominant and really can be game-changing type players. So, really big move. And what does this mean for Seattle, too? Because now is Seattle entering a rebuild? Could we see Seattle throughout the rest of this offseason make some more blockbuster moves, maybe getting rid of DK? Could guys like Tyler Lockett be on their way out? Where does Seattle go from here? And who's going to be Seattle's quarterback week 1 of the 2022-2023 season? That's the big question. So we'll get to that, and then we'll finish off with the New York Sports Update as always. Like I said, tonight, Nets and Rangers in action. So super excited for that. Both of my favorite teams in action tonight. Knicks and Islanders with days off. So recently, not bad. I mean, the Knicks, 1-2 straight tonight. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to even just talk about it, about my optimism or anything. Nets Hornets tonight. Hopefully we win, because the last thing I want is to fall to 2 games below 500, go into Philly with the possibility of getting crushed there, and then that following Friday, getting smoked by the media. That is the absolute last thing I want, and I hope that doesn't happen. So, tonight, Hornets, get back and act, get going, get a win, have some momentum going into Philly Thursday night. We've all been circling that game on our calendars for a long time. All right, so, a lot to get to in a very short amount of time. With that being said, this is the BSN podcast, and let's get right into it. Alrighty, so Russell Wilson traded from the Seattle Seahawks to the Denver Broncos for Drew Lock. Multiple picks and many, many more pieces are involved in this deal. Yes, you have heard that right. Seattle Seahawks have traded franchise quarterback Russell Wilson to the Broncos. And one team just got a whole lot better, and the other team now has a gaping hole in what position, and that is Seattle Seahawks at quarterback. And it's funny because you look at this trade, and right off the bat, you see Russell Wilson going to Denver, and you're like, wow, Denver won this trade. And like I said, I'm going to read you all the trade. I'm going to get to everything in a second. But both these teams just went complete opposite directions. Seattle went from having Russell Wilson as their quarterback, has already won a Super Bowl, got him to 2. I know they're coming off a bad year, but it's Russell Wilson as their quarterback. To Broncos, since Peyton Manning's retired, you had Trevor Siemian, Brock Osweiler, Paxton Lynch, Drew Lock, Joe Flacco, Teddy Bridgewater. So many different guys. That receiver last year from the practice squad that had to play due to COVID, whatever his name was. So many different guys. A question mark at quarterback. You trade Russell Wilson. Now Denver's the team with the quarterback, Russell Wilson. And now you got Geno Smith and Drew Lock as the main 2 guys in Seattle. And it's like, where they're going to go with their quarterback position. So one team just got a whole lot worse at a position, and another team got a whole lot better. That's how I see this deal. And I know there's so many other moving parts. I get it, Denver gave up picks. But look, Denver hasn't had a quarterback since Peyton Manning. And that might not seem like forever ago, but when you look at the quarterbacks that have went into Denver and failed since Peyton Manning was there, Brock Osweiler, Paxton Lynch, Trevor Siemian, Teddy Bridgewater, Drew Lock, they thought they had their guy. He was clearly not the guy. I mean, you think of all the failures they've had at quarterback in the past 5 to 6 seasons, to now bring in Russell Wilson. And I get it. He has had a little bit more of a down year the past 2 years, and maybe you could say, oh, is he starting to run out of gas? I understand you could say that. But it's a massive upgrade for Denver because of what they were working with. I mean, you can't even sit here and make the argument and say, oh, Seattle got Drew Lock, maybe develop. No. Drew Lock's not good. It's clear, and I've been on Drew Lock's side. I have been for a long time now. And maybe if you put Drew Lock in Seattle's system, maybe he'll do something. I don't believe it. I've kind of given up on Drew Lock. I was on the Drew Lock wagon for a long time. I tend to watch a lot of film. I'm a nerd with it. I watch a lot of it. Drew Lock, when he got drafted, I was a big fan of his. I thought he was really going to make an impact. I really thought that Denver found their guy. I kept believing in him. He had a nice rookie season. I kept on, trying to show everybody. I said it last season. You have Cortland Sutton back. You're getting Judy back. Things have kind of went all over the place for Drew Lock. And then now, but last season, this past year, with him just not having a good year, and then, Teddy Bridgewater starting and Drew Lock not having the starting job, it just, no matter if Drew Lock, like this is one of the situations is, if Drew Lock goes on to be great with the Seahawks, let's just say that happens, wins 2 championships and does great. That's fine. Because he was never going to fit in Denver. There's always those times where players and organizations don't fit. They just don't work out. Coaches, players, they just don't work out. And I really think that Drew Lock automatically was done after that. After this season, I think the Broncos kind of said it, look, whoever it is, whether it's a big-name quarterback like Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers or somebody like that, or Derek Carr maybe you go out and get, or somebody that's kind of popped up in rumors, Drew Lock is not going to be our quarterback. And I think today the Broncos came to that realization. And when Aaron Rodgers signed that massive 4-year, $200 million contract extension to stay with the Packers, which, by the way, he said he's going back to the Packers, which is why I didn't talk about that story today over Russell Wilson, because it's not completely accurate. He said that him signing a 4-year, $200 million deal is inaccurate, but he is staying, so the numbers still got to get adjusted. So we'll see how that all plays out into the rest of today and into tomorrow. But that he's staying in the Packers, I think the Broncos had two things. They were either going to go out and get Rodgers or go out and get Wilson. When they saw Wilson going back to the Packers, literally 2 hours later, got a deal done for Russell Wilson. And you bring in Nathaniel Hackett. You already got some good pieces around him. The Broncos just bought their way back into contending. And that's perfectly fine. That's what they just did. And for the Seahawks, it's now kind of a reality check. Where do they go from here? Do they make more moves in the offseason? Do they give up more pieces? What is DK Metcalf's future with the Seattle Seahawks? DK Metcalf's future has all of a sudden gotten super, super foggy just based off of this one deal. He said it last season. He hated losing. He wanted this team to get back to winning. Well, I could tell you what. If Drew Lock, and I'm not trying to be, disrespectful of Lock and just completely wreck him, because that's not what this is all about. But if Drew Lock's your starting quarterback week 1, you can't count on many wins. So is the Seahawks now gearing towards, and this is why a deal happening on March 8th is so great for me and for all the people out there who talk about it and for all the fans, because first of all, you could talk about, Denver Broncos fans could just imagine now, could just dream and that would come to reality next season, can now just picture Russell Wilson throwing to Jerry Jeudy, Russell Wilson throwing to Cortland Sutton, Russell Wilson throwing to Tim Patrick, getting Javonte Williams going on the screen game. Now you can just picture all that. But you look at now Seattle, and it's like, all right, you got rid of Russell Wilson, and that's not anything small. You got Drew Lock in return. Sure, you got Noah Fant and all that, but it's like, and sure, you got 2 first-round picks, a second-round pick, Drew Lock, Shelby Harrison, Noah Fant, and a 5th-round pick. But it's like, who's your quarterback? And they did get 2 first-round picks. So you got to wonder what they do with those. Do they draft one? I truly believe that the Seattle Seahawks are going to draft a quarterback. I think they need to. I don't think they're going to go out and get a Derek Carr or somebody like that and bring him in and have instant success. Almost like what the Rams did. They gave up Stafford and brought in a quarterback gave up Goff and then brought in a quarterback like Stafford. Not like an instant replacement like that. I could see the Seahawks building more towards the future and rebuilding. You bring in Noah Fant, right? You get 2 second-round picks. You get 2 first-round picks. Maybe you dump off DK Metcalf and just completely blow it up and restart. And if DK doesn't want to be there anymore, that's another possibility as well. But all I can tell you is this. The Broncos today got a whole lot better, and the Seahawks today there's definitely some question marks. Number 1, it starts up top at the quarterback. Are you going to go out and draft a quarterback? Are you going to sign somebody? Are you going to roll with Drew Lock this season? What are you going to do? That's the big question. And also, what's the rest of the roster going to look like? Are the Seahawks going to just blow this whole thing up and restart? Or are they going to, bring in a quarterback and hope that he fits in similar to what Wilson did? What are you going to do there? And that's definitely a thing. But I got to admit, And Washington wasn't on this too. Washington was willing to give up 3 first-round picks. Now, you got to wonder what else Washington was willing to give up. I think, if the Seahawks wanted a tight end, Noah Fant, I'd take over Logan Thomas in Washington, so that could have been some of the deciding factors. But look, I mean, Seattle's got, let's just say this, and this is where I don't want to bash Seattle too much, because let's just say Seattle gets, they have Noah Fant now. They already have Tyler Lockett. They have DK Metcalf. That's a solid core. You have Chris Carson as long as he can stay healthy. That's a solid core of players. Your defense is good, but there's definitely some guys that are getting up there in age that could be out of there in a year or two to 3 years that aren't really the future, but might have 1 or 2 good years left. Your biggest question is the quarterback. So, if you can draft a quarterback and believe in him, whether it's Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett, and you could draft the guy and put him, surround him with weapons like that, because they got weapons. There's no doubt about that. Put him into the system and see what he can do. Maybe they go that route. Like I said, I don't see them going a route of going out and, getting like a Derek Carr or somebody like that, bringing in like an instant replacement and hoping he fits. I can't see that. Or going out, getting Kirk Cousins or any of the guys that have kind of popped up in some of the trade speculation. Jimmy Garoppolo. I can't see, maybe Jimmy G, but the thing with that is are the Niners going to trade Jimmy G to a division rival? You got to put that into account. Now, I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think they're going to give up Jimmy G to a division rival. And who knows? Maybe Jimmy G's the quarterback next year for San Francisco. Who knows? So, really crazy. But Russell Wilson in the 4th-round pick's heading to Denver. So, the Broncos, like I said, get Russell Wilson in the 4th-round pick. Seahawks get 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, a 5th-round pick, quarterback Drew Lock, defensive lineman Shelby Harris, and tight end Noah Fant. So, big blockbuster trade. And past 2 years now, you had the blockbuster trade with Stafford going to LA, Goff going to Detroit. And now this year now, we're getting another blockbuster trade. Russell Wilson going to Denver. Not Drew Lock's not really as big as a name like Goff, but Drew Lock now going to Seattle, Denver, Russell Wilson going to Denver. And now you look at let's say Derek Carr stays put. You're looking at, the AFC is now loaded with quarterbacks. Let's just go top to bottom. AFC East. Josh Allen. I don't care. You could say Mac Jones or whatever. Zach Wilson's still developing. Tua, I don't think's it. But you got Josh Allen. You go to the AFC North. AFC North. And then you got Joe Burrow. Steelers question mark, because who knows what they're going to do with Big Ben retiring. Baker Mayfield's solid, question there. If he can stay healthy, maybe he could perform a little bit better, and you surround him with some weapons that are out there on the field consistently, possibility. And Lamar Jackson, very good. Then you go to the AFC South, Titans, you have Tannehill, who's solid, can take a team to the postseason. He's not spectacular, but a lot of teams right now, I'd take Tannehill. I think a lot of teams would take Tannehill right now. If he was available. Colts, question mark there. What are you going to do with Carson Wentz and all that? Texans, question mark. Then you go to the Jaguars, and you got Trevor Lawrence, who's promising. You got to hope. Then you go to the AFC West, and you look at Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes. Raiders, Derek Carr. Chargers, Justin Herbert. Broncos now. You put Russell Wilson into that. So, you're looking at now a core of players that includes Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, Justin Herbert, Derek Carr. It's just so many elite quarterbacks now. And maybe I should take Derek Carr out of that category. I wouldn't say Derek Carr's elite. But the other names I just mentioned, elite quarterbacks that are now in the AFC. And you add Russell Wilson to that list. So, AFC, really got to watch out. Alrighty, so the fractured relationship between the Seattle Seahawks and Russell Wilson has led to the 9-time Pro Bowler quarterback reportedly being traded to the Denver Broncos. Adam Schefter of ESPN reported the Seahawks have agreed to trade Wilson to the Broncos. Ian Rappaport of Info Network reported the full details of the deal. I'll read them over one more time. Like I said, the Broncos get Russell Wilson and a 4th-round pick, and the Seahawks get 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, a 5th-round pick, quarterback Drew Lock, defensive lineman Shelby Harris, and tight end Noah Fant's really the big one in that deal. Wilson made several surprising comments last offseason that suggested there might be a problem with the Seahawks. The 32-year-old said in February 2021 on the Dan Patrick Show that he wanted more of a role in the team's personnel decisions. Wilson said, "I think it helps me to be involved more," he told Dan Patrick. I think that dialogue should happen more often, Wilson continued to say. Patrick reported after the interview that Seahawks management was not happy with Wilson for speaking publicly about his frustrations. "The current situation is not sustainable," Patrick added. "That's what I was told." Per Michael Sean Duggar, Mike Sando, and Jason Jenks of The Athletic, some of Wilson's frustrations stemmed from a meeting the star quarterback held with coaches prior to a Thursday night game against the Arizona Cardinals midway through the 2020 season. For some time, Wilson has sought, even pushed for influence within the organization regarding scheme and personnel. In the meeting, he outlined his own ideas for how to fix the offense. His suggestions were dismissed, multiple sources told The Athletic. Another reminder to Wilson that the Seahawks did not see him in the way he saw himself, as a player who had earned greater control over his situation, his future, and his legacy. Despite the apparent unhappiness, Wilson's agent Mark Rogers told Schefter in February of 2021, so prior to last year, this time last season his client hadn't demanded a trade. Schefter did note that if the Seahawks decide to explore trade options, Wilson would only consider playing for the Cowboys, Bears, Raiders, and Saints. So clearly, none of those options now are even on the radar screen with him going to the Broncos, not one of those 4 teams listed. The 2020 season looked like it was going to be Wilson's MVP year. He threw for 2,151 yards, 26 touchdowns, with 71.5 completion percentage in the Seahawks' first 7 games. The second half of the season was a step back, though. Wilson had 2,061 passing yards, 14 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and a 66.6 completion percentage over the final 9 games. He was picked apart by the Rams' defense in the NFC wildcard game, finishing 11 of 27 for 174 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Rams sacked Wilson 5 times and hit him 10 times in a 30-20 victory. By the way, this was last year. This was not this season. Wilson missed games for the first time in his career during the 2021 season. He had to undergo finger surgery that kept him out for 3 games. The North Carolina State alum had a fantastic start to the year with a 72.6 completion percentage, 1,196 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 1 interceptions in 5 starts. He finished the season with 3,113 yards, 25 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, it's 64.8 completion percentage in 14 starts. Seattle missed the postseason for the first time since 2017 and finished last in the NFC West with a 7-10 record for the first time in Wilson's career. Wilson has been one of the NFL's best quarterbacks since being selected by Seattle in the 3rd round of the 2012 draft. The Wisconsin alum has thrown for at least 30 touchdowns 5 times and 4,000 yards, or 4,000 or more yards 4 times in the past 9 seasons. So he's been one of the more elite quarterbacks in the league. By the way, and here it said the North Carolina State alum had a fantastic start to the season. That is not true. He went to Wisconsin. So I don't know why they said North Carolina State. I don't know where they got that mixed up. But he went to Wisconsin. So I don't know why it said North Carolina State. I don't know if that was it obviously was a typo. Actually, no, I'm sorry. He did go to, no, I apologize. North Carolina State was one of the colleges he went to. So he went to North Carolina State and he went to Wisconsin. So it was 2 of those colleges. I learned something new. I did not know that Wilson went to North Carolina State. I never knew that. I only thought he went to Wisconsin. See, even I don't even know anything, everything. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, you look at this and look, it raises a lot of questions. For Broncos, look, you got Russell Wilson, you got your replacement, now it's time to win. And there's no excuse now to not to win if you're Denver. You should be back in the conversation. You should be right up there in the AFC West. No more going into Arrowhead and getting shellacked by the Chiefs. You should be able to stand with them. And now you look at that AFC West division, and there's now 4 teams that have really good chances of winning it. I mean, it's the truth. Like, all 4 of those teams can compete. Chiefs can compete. Chargers can definitely compete. Raiders can compete if Derek Carr's their quarterback. If they move on from him, we'll see. And then the Broncos, now Russell Wilson can definitely compete. So you got a stacked division in the AFC West with 4 very good quarterbacks. So, and Russell Wilson joins that division. And now if you're Denver, you should be back to where Peyton Manning was taking you, and that's playoffs, that's contending, and maybe you'll see a Super Bowl again with the Broncos. Look, he's 33, so the clock's ticking too. If you're Denver, so you got to win now. This is a win now move. This isn't a move for the future. This is a win now move. He's 33 years old. This is a move that's going to be win now. He's 33 and he turns 30. He turns 34 in November. So just a couple months ago he turned 33. So he's 33. He's probably got about 3 good years left. So this is a win now move, and you got to go out and win. And you got some weapons around him. You got Tim Patrick. You're gonna have you're gonna have Tim Patrick. You're going to have, Jerry Jeudy, all those guys. And, now you look at, those weapons and, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick, Javonte Williams, and now you add Russell Wilson to that list. Definitely a solid core there in the AFC West for the Denver Broncos. Alrighty, so let's get to the New York Sports Update and finish off this podcast today. All right, let's get to the NBA. Tonight in the NBA, we got a couple games on tonight. Cavs, Pacers, I'll take the Cavs. Suns, Magic, I'll take the Suns. Grizzlies, Pelicans, I'll take the Grizzlies. Bucks, Thunder, I'll take the Bucks. And Warriors, Clippers, I'll take the Warriors. Nets, Hornets tonight. Nets come into this game 32-33. Hornets come into this game 32-33 as well. Nets come into this one 5-point favorites. The over-under is set at 240.5. This game's on tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern. You can find it on Yes. Let's see. 86% of people think the Nets will win this one. I'll take the Nets. All right, a lot of hockey games on tonight in the world of the NHL. You got the Avalanche Devils. I'll take the Avs. Flyers Golden Knights. I'll take the Golden Knights. Penguins Panthers. I'll take the Panthers. Coyotes Red Wings. I'll take the Red Wings. Maple Leafs Kraken, I'll take the Maple Leafs. Lightning Jets, I'll take the Lightning. Blues Spurs, I'll take the Blues Spurs. Blues Senators, I'll take the Blues. Predators Stars, I'll take the Preds. Blackhawks Ducks, I'll take the Blackhawks. And Flames Capitals, I'll take the Flames. Rangers also play tonight. They're back in action tonight. They come into this game 36-15-5. The Minnesota Wild come into this one 32-19-3. The over-under is set at 6.5. This game goes on tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. You can find it on MSG, XL Center in Minnesota. And the Rangers have a 55% chance of winning this one. I'll take the Rangers. And there's one top 25 game on tonight, the West Coast Championship. St. Mary's Gonzaga. I'll take Gonzaga. That game comes on 9 p.m. Eastern on ESPN for those of you interested. And as for fantasy basketball, got a good amount going on tonight in the world of fantasy basketball. I got John Morant, Desmond Bane, Brandon Ingram, Miles Bridges, Buddy Hield, Kelly Oubre, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Darius Garland. And I'm currently losing 216-159, so hopefully I can come back. Brandon Ingram tonight's questionable with right hamstring soreness for tonight's game. And that will do it for the pod today. So, yes, that will do it for the podcast today. A lot to get, like I said, I had 27 minutes I went over. It was a whole lot to get to. There was a whole lot to talk about. Russell Wilson, crazy trade. What do you think of the trade? Comment down below. Who do you think won? Do you think the Broncos won, or do you think the Seahawks won? Like I said, I think the Broncos definitely won. They got Russell Wilson. Here's my thing. I'm not saying that it's a win-win. I'm not saying that the Seahawks lost this trade. I wouldn't consider this a win-win. Because yes, the Seahawks get Noah Fant, Shelby Harrison, nice defender there. Two first-round picks. You already you obviously your first-round pick that you're supposed to have this year is with the Jets. So now you get 2 of those. So you'll be able to get 2 first-round picks now, and it's not like you won't have any. And you have 2 second-round picks. So now all of a sudden you have 4 picks in the first 2 rounds. You went from having no first-round picks and really no picks anything to having 4 picks in the first 2 rounds. So you do have that, but you don't have a quarterback. So the only way I would say if this was a win-win, if it was like Russell Wilson to the Seahawks and I don't know, Jimmy Garoppolo or something let's just say Jimmy G was a Bronco, or Drew Lock was a solid quarterback. Let's just say that, and Drew Lock was there. That's when I would say it's a win-win. But the Seahawks, who knows who's they're going to be their quarterback? And that's why I think this trade now, you can grade it right now. And yes, the Broncos probably win. But if the Seahawks bring in a rookie quarterback and he plays well and he performs well, then all of a sudden you could definitely start to think the other way. So big trade, without a doubt. And Broncos get a quarterback that no excuses now. They should be back in contending like they were with Peyton Manning was in his time in Denver. Alrighty, so that will do it for the podcast here today. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. Another good one in the books. Enjoy all the sports tonight. College basketball, Gonzaga, St. Mary's should be a good one. 9 Eastern on ESPN. Nets, Hornets, and the Rangers Wild. That's what's going on in the world of the New York sports. That will do it for today. As always, I will see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.